surprised that he went to that podium and spoke to the media. So, Steph, we are waiting just like everyone else here on this news. What a moment, though, in history, like I was talking about. President's son, the first president's son to be dealing with this type of situation, and now we wait.
And now we wait. You were talking about that moment when media and also the public hear that a verdict has been reached. We're sharing a live look from the outside of the federal courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware, and we did see folks.
All right. So this is breaking news. The verdict is in for the Hunter Biden gun charge trial in Delaware. The verdict is in under over 3 hours. The jury is have it. Now, those of you who want to know, Hunter Biden is the son of let's go Brandon, Joe Biden, gun charges. So the key evidence was from the laptop and the witnesses. And he's a drug dealer, a drug user, cocaine, crack, prostitutes, mutual money. Where did he get his money from? He got it from China. So we're going to talk about that. But this is a federal courthouse, so there's no cameras in this. Where I rely on some news, Fox News. So here we go. That's the lineup, and here comes the pitch.
Literally running because again there were no cameras allowed inside, and so really the only way to relay that information, of course, is to actually physically leave the courthouse. No electronic devices of any kind are allowed inside that courtroom. So again, as you mentioned, Mike, a very historic moment. This comes, as you know, on the heels of another historic moment with former President Trump being convicted. So very busy and very historic several weeks here in the United States.
Yeah.
No, it really, really is. And I mean, this is all coming on the backdrop of what we are dealing with and going in to the summer season and going into an election year that is fully on right now. And that is all going to go into the heads of just so many voters. Of course, you had Donald Trump's issues, and those are continuing. And now you have the president's son issues at hand as well. And so I also want to mention, this was a really interesting case, not only for the fact, of course, let's just get that out of the way, the president's son, yes, that's history in the making, but it was an interesting case because for so much, the evidence we saw all as a public before, where we all saw the Hunter Biden videos as they were really getting leaked and then shown from his laptop. And this was an interesting case because going back to 2020, remember back in September and October of 2020, we're hearing of this laptop from Hunter Biden and the videos that were coming out. And earlier on, it was, disinformation being called out right there. But now it was used as evidence from the DOJ as evidence against Hunter Biden. So a long way we've come in the last 4 years. And it was just interesting in so many effects here when you had all of that evidence and we were seeing it really maybe in real time.
Absolutely. And I did want to recap, Mike, for our viewers who may not be up to speed in terms of what Hunter Biden is being charged with. 3 different felonies, including lying to a federally licensed gun dealer, making a false claim on an application by saying he was not a drug user, and thirdly, illegally having the gun for 11 days. He has pleaded not guilty. He is a first-time offender, Mike. So let's talk about that because he does face up to 25 years in prison if convicted, but he is a first-time offender, and a lot of times first-time offenders do not get the maximum.
No, they don't. And of course, there's different levels that the judge will be looking at. This all, of course, goes if we see a guilty verdict. If it's a not guilty, of course, he'll just be able to walk out and go on with his life here. But the sentencing guidelines, yes, you're right, has a lot to do with, okay, do you have anything in the past? Well, what does that look like? So it'll be interesting to see just how that plays out. We'll see in a couple of months. Again, if it is a guilty verdict, it'll be about a couple of months, the sentencing from now. But it should also be just talked about that Hunter Biden, of course, has talked about this case here before. He has said that he admitted that he has had a problem in the past with substance abuse. He's wrote a memoir about that. And you wonder just how much maybe of knowing from the jury, knowing that this person is dealing with substance abuse and the history of Hunter Biden would go into effect there. And it'll be interesting to see what the jury comes to grips with everything from Hunter's past.
And Mike, we are actually printing out because we have received some of those verdicts right now. All of this happening live, breaking.
All right, here we go.
Sharing those with you, Mike, and you can share your reaction with them. We are awaiting again those 3 felony counts, and our producers are actually printing that information. As we were speaking, we actually saw reporters running out of the courtroom, an indication, of course, as to those responses from the verdict from the jury, because again, no electronic devices are inside. So if everyone just hangs with us, we are printing out, we are getting that information to you. This is the very first time, as the son, I should say, of the sitting president has been charged, and we will see if he in fact has been convicted. Mike, while we wait for this news,
that's what we are learning right now that he is guilty on all 3 charges against him.
Guilty on all 3 charges against him, Mike. That's what you said. Okay.
Coming out right now, you were mentioning there, you saw the reporters running out there, running to get that information in.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. Thank you, Mike, for that. As you mentioned, yes, the jurors in Hunter Biden's federal gun trial, they have reached a verdict, all 3 guilty measures. And again, now it goes to that sentencing phase. But I will be interested, and you mentioned this, Mike, who will talk at this podium? We saw, will Hunter Biden actually respond after being found guilty on all 3 felony charges? President Biden himself has already said that he will not pardon his son should he be convicted, and the jury has now convicted him on all 3 felony counts. This breaking, Mike, and again, this also comes with just about 3 hours of deliberations. So it does appear that the jury found this to be a very clear-cut case.
Yeah,
Guilty.
That was a fast one to get to for the jury, but again, in 3 hours, they were able to come together and say that Hunter Biden was guilty of these charges. And you speak of the podium there, for a sweep like this, it's a big moment because you get the prosecution that would maybe want to do a victory lap, but then I also have to pause there because the victory lap would be talking about really the dismantling of the president's son. And so it could put them in an awkward position. They may not even want to speak to the cameras there. We'll see even if Hunter wants to. He probably won't right now, as his defense counsel will try to set up for appeal immediately as they try to work around this right now. But again, the 3 charges there. It was a sweep against Hunter Biden, guilty on all of those. And now, like I was talking about earlier, let's just talk about the politics of it all, where you will have the headlines of Joe Biden's son guilty on all 3 charges. That will be a recurring theme. We've heard again and time again from the White House briefings from President Joe Biden that he will not, put Hunter Biden, and he will not.
Okay, so basically, here's the thing. I'm gonna break it down. Hunter Biden has been found guilty of 3 federal charges. What does that mean? That means if he's found guilty, he has to surrender his passport. We don't know if he's going to be going to probation. And he's a first-time offender. He might get probation. He might get some jail time. But history in the making. A first child of a president of the United States has been found guilty of being a knucklehead. A knucklehead. I mean, he was a drug user using crack. He went to go buy a firearm. He is a drug user. He has spent money on hookers. He's been using drugs for years. Basically, he got kicked out of the military because he's using drugs. And Joe Biden put him in, I think he put him into a rehab center. And I'm just saying, drug rehab, that's a waste of time and a waste of money. You got to put it in your mind that you're going to quit something. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the verdict is in. Joe Biden has been found guilty of 3 counts. So we're going to be waiting for sentencing. It might be a couple of weeks, but I just want to come here and tell you what is going on. Hunter Biden has been found guilty of 3 federal counts. Now, I am going back to watch Fox News because that's who I am. Guys, thank you guys for coming in. Don't forget, if you're watching this, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, all that good stuff. And I got an alarm going off. Yeah. Well, sorry about that. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe. This is breaking news. Hunter Biden has been found guilty of 3 counts, federal counts. So we went on sentencing. It could take at least 3 or 4 weeks to find out what he's going to do. Apparently, he is a convicted felon. That means he got to get rid of his passport. Yeah. So, let's go, Brandon. I'm telling you, the Biden family is crumbling down. Thank you guys for coming in. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe. This has been a breaking news report for the Z Show. See y'all.